Good day, YouTube. Many years ago, I was an E2, no, E3. I was an E3, Airman First Class. And I'd been in the Air Force less than 3 years. I had a good friend of mine. He was, at that time, a tech sergeant, E6. And I told him, I'm going to do my 4 years. I'm going to get out of the Air Force. I'm going to go back home to Los Angeles. Going back to Cali. That's a song from Biggie Smalls. Well, anyway, my friend asked me, and I'm so thankful for the conversation that I had with him. He asked me, he said, so when you get out of the Air Force after 4 years, where are you going to go? I said, back to Los Angeles. What are you going to do? I said, I'll find a job, or I can go back to where I used to work, which is a professional photographic processing lab. We used to process film, transparency film, whether it's slide film or larger format transparency, 5x7, 8x10, or a little bit bigger. He goes, okay, but now you're married. He said, I know that's what you used to do before you joined the Air Force, before you had a family. Now you're married with a family and you're gonna go and do the exact same thing. He goes, why don't you extend? Because he said he knew I wanted to finish my education, my college, and get my bachelor's. He goes, do you have your bachelor's? I said, no, I have 2 years, 2.5 years. He goes, but you don't have your bachelor's? I said, no. He goes, why don't you extend or re-enlist and get your degree and then get out if that's what you want to do. So my point with this topic in this video is, when you are going to get ready to leave the military, either because your contract is ending, you're separating, or you're retiring, I would hope that you are leaving in a situation that is good, big picture, good financially, good, you have your training. Some jobs don't require a degree, and I understand that, so there are exceptions. For example, IT. It's more about certification. So do you have your certification, which is education? Do you have your degree? Are you going to a better situation? If the answer is you are going to a better situation than what you have in the military, then good. But if the answer is no, or the answer is I don't know, or the answer is unknown, I would caution you to definitely think about what you're going to do next. Everybody leaves the military at one point or another. Everybody. So make sure you have a plan that is good for you, that is good for your family, if you have a family. That way you can have that smooth transition. The opposite of that is people separate, leave, retire, and are struggling. And you'd be surprised how many people retire, they have their pension, maybe they get a VA disability rating, and they have their medical care, which is great, it's priceless, but they still struggle. I'm telling you, I used to see that all the time when I used to manage the transition program, TAP, Transition Assistance Program, where I would see high-ranking enlisted and officers be stressed about the next chapter in life. Stress is going to be something that's normal, it's going to be there, it's part of the process. But my goal when I retired from the Air Force Reserve was to reduce the amount of stress. I had all of my education. I had a lot of money saved up. We had no debt. I was fortunate enough to retire from the Air Force Reserve, leave my last assignment, which was the last 3 years. I was in AGR. I was active duty for the Air Force Reserve. But I don't get my pension right now, as of right now, and I've been retired 4 years because I retired from the Air Force Reserve, and I don't get my medical. But I was fortunate enough to be going back to my Air Force civil service job, where I took a 60% pay cut from active duty to civil service. Civil service is a good deal, but don't get me wrong. Active duty, you get a lot of tax breaks. Your housing and your food is tax-free. So look at the big picture. And I'm gonna ask, Are you leaving the military for something that's going to be better? Big picture better, whether it's job satisfaction, job security, a location that you want to go to, benefits, pay, do you have your education taken care of? I'm asking you what my friend asked me many years ago. This is probably, let's see, 25 years ago. No, more like 24, 23, 24. And he made me think, and I thank him for having that conversation, because then I realized the Air Force is a good lifestyle. Maybe I was doing the job that I wasn't passionate about, but that's okay, because if I do a good job, it's going to open up other doors, and that's exactly what I did. The Air Force paid for all of my school. I traveled the world, and I'm going to end it with this. People, and I have a lot of respect for people who say, I joined the service, regardless of branch, because I wanted to serve my country. And I can honestly say that that was not the case why I joined. I joined out of necessity because I needed discipline, structure, I needed a job, I wanted to travel. There's a lot of things. And eventually it became, oh, it feels so good to serve our nation in the Air Force, in the career field, or excuse me, the branch that I served. For me, it was, I needed the Air Force more than the Air Force needed me. And I matured and grew, and I grew, and it was a perfect fit for me. So I want you to think about where you are if you are still in the military, regardless of branch, enlisted, officer, active duty, guard, or reserve, and how much time do you have left? I have a good friend of mine. He is retiring in just 6 days from today. And he's done. He's never going to wear the uniform again, and he's excited. We don't say that in a bad way. It's just, it's time. In fact, he's up in age, so he maxed out, and he can't serve any longer. He's served. He's done a lot of good things. I look forward to the next chapter of his life, and I want you to think about where you are, what you want to do, what you're going to do next. Take care.